I'm Sunny Goldberg, and welcome to Know Your Neighbors. I am so excited to be sitting here today in our gorgeous brand new studio on Mamaroneck Avenue. LMC did it. And what could be more fitting than to be sitting here with the brand new president of LMC Media, Chris Gianutsos.
Very good.
Oh, thank you. Welcome and congratulations on your being the new president.
Thank you.
With this gorgeous studio.
It's a great space. It's really beautiful, and hopefully will educate more people in the community about what LMC does. This storefront presence is really important.
I wanted everybody to know your face because having been a president a long time ago, I know people stop and ask you questions and are, because you're a community person, and I'm dying to hear how you got to this community.
How we got to Larchmont Mamaroneck?
Yeah.
Well, I was living in the city with my wife, and like many people, we had a kid and decided it was time to leave the city. And we looked all over Westchester County. So we actually started...
We did that same thing.
We started up in Chappaqua because my cousin was living up there at the time. And my wife looked at the commute from Chappaqua to the Freedom Tower where she was working at the time and said, this is not going to happen. So we drew a circle, like many do, around Midtown, and just started looking at all kinds of communities. We looked at the river towns. Those were very hot at the time. I think they maybe still are. Wasn't really for us. We looked at Scarsdale, Ardsley, sort of went across the middle of Westchester. And it wasn't until we got to Larchmont that we really felt like someplace that was home. Just the warmth of the community. It was a little bit more laid back than some of the other places we looked at, and it just felt like a place that we could live. And so we did. We bought a house in Larchmont, just off of the brook, and lived there for a few years, and then had a son, and we're still in the community. We're in Mamaroneck now, but...
So you have 2 children
yes.
now, and we really are neighbors.
Yes, we are.
Which is quite amazing. I was so excited to get to know my neighbor. You've been here for how long?
10 years.
10 years in Larchmont Mamaroneck.
Yes.
And how did you get involved with LMC? Did you watch us or?
You know, I was trying to remember earlier this week how I first learned about LMC.
Did you think I was going to ask you?
I wasn't sure, but I was starting to think about it. And I think the first time I came across LMC was at the Kentucky Derby in the brook in Larchmont Gardens, which is actually an event that I helped create. And LMC came and televised one of the events. And for viewers who may not be familiar, the Kentucky Derby is an event where the children in the neighborhood can get a rubber duck, a small rubber duck, and they basically float them down the river. It's a race. Trophies are handed out for the winners. It's always on the day of the Kentucky Derby.
Right.
But it is the Kentucky Derby. Yes.
Okay.
And so that was when I saw the truck, I saw the camera, and my wife and I met at NBC, so that sort of stuck in my mind.
Wow.
And then a couple of years later, following LMC on social media, I saw that they were looking for additional board members. And being familiar with their mission and both in terms of transparency in the community and what they do for kids and getting children excited about media production, it was really an organization that I was excited about. So I reached out to Matt, the executive director, and one thing led to another, and here we are.
That's just amazing. It's truly amazing to me because it's like media magic for you to have met your wife in media, for you to come here. This is such an amazing community. I know I sound like a broken record, but it really is.
It's such an amazing, an amazing asset for the community. I didn't have anything like this where I grew up. I wish I did. I was interested in media, but I didn't really have an outlet for it. It wasn't until much later on in my career that I really discovered that passion. But gosh, to be able to learn production with professional equipment and with all the legacy of the people that have come through the community would have been amazing.
Be able to borrow the equipment
Yes.
and use it. I was recently at a historic meeting where they were presenting. Gail Boyle was presenting about the murals that the group had saved, And they're going to put one up right next door at the movie
great.
theater. They saved 6, and one is going up very soon. But all of those things that they were covering it for LMC. So it's not just me and the 25 of us sitting there. It's the whole community has the ability to go to the station and learn about what's happening. And that just blew my mind because Mike Witch told me access is just for everybody. And I didn't know what the heck he was talking. I mean, when we started all those years ago, I'd never even heard of access, just like you. And now we have this gift
It really is a gift.
that everybody can use. And here on the Avenue, you can pop in, you can do a podcast. It's amazing.
And
really.
then you can go catch a movie when
And
you're
then
done.
you can go right next door, and you can have a great dinner or lunch.
That's right.
Or has salad like you did. But so you're in right now. You're consulting, and what is it you actually do outside of LMC?
So I help both media companies and government agencies improve their customer experience in the way that individuals, organizations, small businesses do business with the government or the way they engage with media organizations, which is a really odd combination to have those two industries together, but it also kind of set me up well for LMC, just given the dual mission. And that was not intentional.
I mean, how do you do that? That is just quite amazing. So it really does allow you to think about projects and involving the community and how better to do it.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes. I spent, over 20 years in the media industry doing a lot of digital transformation and innovation related projects. And then
digital transformation. Help me out with that
So for the viewers who may be watching this on streaming platforms, on YouTube, things like that, that type of innovation. In fact, I was at NBC working in production and distribution operations when YouTube was first created, and when everyone was kind of wondering, is this something that we need to be paying attention to? When Apple started first distributing video on iTunes. So I was involved in all of that, which was really amazing, and continued that type of innovation through media. And then a few years ago was asked to look at some projects, again with a government agency. The government, is not always up to the same level of standard as many other industries, and have really brought some of the same practices and approaches and lessons learned into helping government agencies improve their customer experience while still retaining that innovation in the media industry.
God, you just made we were trying to describe in our minds years ago what we wanted to press into being. And you've got Matt Sullivan, who's a wonderful executive, who was in made movies and was in television. So it and hopefully you have new energetic people like yourself on the board. What I'm learning is that if boards don't turn over, I was like Papa Doc. You mentioned your mom was from Haiti. I was president of LMC for a very long time because it was very difficult to get somebody to step up to the plate. And it's really not good when you don't have that change of boards and philosophy and somebody like yourself who can be creative and start projects that we never even maybe thought about.
While still, honoring the legacy. So my very last job at NBC Universal before I left there, I was running the film and television vault. And so that was, all the original negatives and nitrates that are 100 years old, and the whole preservation aspect of it, as well as building the digital repository, the digital assets for all of that. So, it really was this combination of respecting everything that went into Hollywood studios over the last century, while also thinking about where are we going. And I hope to bring some of that same energy to LMC, while again honoring the 40-year legacy that it's had in the community, and the much longer history that this community has with the media industry as a whole.
I have somebody I want to introduce you to now that
Great.
I'm sitting. Stephen Berkman, who just did a huge, wonderful book on 19th century past with the glass.
Okay.
And it's fabulous. He was in the Flower Moon. He did the antique photography for that. And now that you mentioned it, it's perfect hookup. So, do you have any wonderful thoughts for LMC that you think would be helpful to Larchmont Mamaroneck community or the tri-municipal, how we can keep it going and keep it together?
Well, I think the first challenge that I want to help solve is not a new one, which is making sure that everyone in the community understands what LMC is, what it does, the value.
It's definitely a secret that should not be kept.
Particularly individuals who don't watch TV on a traditional television, who get their media from other sources.
Which they can get us on YouTube.
Can get us on YouTube, on Roku, on all those streaming devices.
Yes.
But in many ways, it's a secret, and it's particularly a secret with some of the younger generations in town. So I think challenge number one is helping to build awareness of what LMC is, its dual mission of both providing transparency into the goings-on of the local government, as well as everything that it does to help educate children in the school system who are interested in media, who want to be journalists or the next filmmakers, right? All of those things. It does such an amazing job of giving access and resources to those individuals, and I think more people in the community need to know that. So that's job number one, is just really making sure that more people understand what LMC is and the impact that it has on the community. And then I think the second job is just continuing to grow on that legacy, to innovate, to find new ways that we can continue to be relevant and to reach people in the way that they want to consume media.
I think that is so major. I mean, when we had our gala, we honored the teachers in Mamaroneck, and that meant so much to me. And the darling interns that have started here and are working.
Incredible projects.
CNN, NBC. I mean, you don't think that's mind-boggling? Many of whom came back and said that they got their start with Mike Witch in LMC. And I was talking to Mike about that. It gives you such pride and joy to think about, I started out, I didn't know even, like I told you, nothing.
There's probably a future Oscar winner somewhere in the school system right now.
Oh, we definitely have one. Definitely, we had one Oscar. You're absolutely right. So it's that number one. And number two, I'm hoping that people aren't afraid to come in here and say, oh God, I can't do television. Because I bumbled in. I had no idea what I was doing. And it really worked. It really did. And it was just because I was so excited about the community. And one of the things I did was interview the Elgarts.
Okay.
A wonderful family that opened the movie theater. And that, like us, is a community happening. Young kids meet there.
Yep.
And you have a date night or whatever. And that's what it's all about.
Well, and that's a way that people can come and see this space. So if you haven't been here, it's really, the team has done an amazing job building a professional television and podcasting studio here on the Avenue. And one of the things that we've talked a lot about as a board is running educational programs. So people who maybe have had an interest in podcasting but don't know how to start, they can come here, they can get a lesson, they can see how everything works. They can sit on this comfortable couch and build their own programming. And it's really, we've had a legacy of educating the kids in the school system, but this facility can also educate, adults who maybe have their own business that they're starting up and they want to find ways to promote it. They can come here and talk about what they do and talk about the community and learn how all of these things come together.
I think that's so major, and we're open. I mean, there's a different person running, and it's welcoming. I've never really, other than our opening night when we did the gala and they had, I've never done a show here. It is cozy, it's warm, it's welcoming, and I want a bigger sign on that window.
We're working on that.
Okay. But it just really is quite an unusual space, I must say. And the original brick, I mean, you and I are both in old houses.
Yes.
We know what it takes to save things. And it's really something else, really.
Well, I think that's a testament to, you just mentioned the Allgards. They did such an amazing job with that, with the theater next door. And while making that a really cutting edge facility, also preserving the heritage of it. And that extends into this space. So we have the exposed brick and the ductwork, but we also have state-of-the-art equipment where we can record shows like this.
Exactly. And you know, Chris, I thought a lot about it. I looked you up. I Googled you.
Oh boy.
And it says you love gadgets, technology, digital media. Hey.
Yeah.
New York restaurants. I assume you like Mamaroneck and
I do.
Larchmont
Yep.
restaurants
Yep.
as well. Travel, photography, and strategic execution. What is strategic execution?
So that is really helping my clients at work figure out ways to make their plans happen.
And, okay.
Yeah.
Wow. And you, not just media, but let's say you're out someplace and you're at a restaurant. Do you feel like you should have a camera? Or?
No.
No. Do you feel like you don't feel like you want to interview them?
No, I don't have a face for the camera.
Oh, well, you definitely are going to be in the future. I can tell it. Great smile. But
Thank you.
I'm wondering if you feel like you can sell this place. And I think you can, because it's extraordinary visual now.
Yes.
It's not hidden. It's not another, not a town center, which Janie and they were very welcoming, but it's now our own place, our own home.
Yes.
And I think that probably is a lot easier to sell, so to speak. And you're still doing games and community government, but here is our home.
Here's our home.
And I am very impressed with that. Okay, we don't have that much time, so I want to quickly see, is there anything that you're really hoping to accomplish in the year to come?
Well, like I said, the biggest challenge is just helping to build more awareness.
Yeah.
And so we have some ideas about doing that, but this studio really is central to a lot of that. And the fact that it's street level, people can walk by and see it, people welcome to poke their head in, right now, hopefully somebody pokes their head in and watches us recording.
I did see a couple people walking by.
That's part of the fun. If you are just generally interested in media and someone is recording a show, you can just walk right in and see how it all happens, ask some questions, learn a little bit more about it. And I think that's really important for understanding the mission. And then I think it's also about just educating people on the other types of programming that LMC does. LMC obviously has a mission to broadcast all of the town meetings, the village meetings, and those are critically important. And it's how a lot of people understand what is happening at those sessions.
And there always have.
There always
exactly
have, yes.
What's going on our channels.
Yes, but that is not the only type of programming that we run. And again, that's I think one of the things that we need to work on is make sure that people understand that, yes, that's your resource to go if you can't make it in person to a meeting, but it's also a place to go to see what new productions the high school students are creating, what documentaries about the town are being created. There's some interesting programming outside of those meetings that I think that people should turn into.
And one other thing that shows visual is that your truck.
Yes.
I was in the car taking Lucy's girlfriend home, and she said, "Oh, look, there's LMC truck." And I thought, wow, here's an 11-year-old noticing LMC and being excited about it. Of course, her grandma and her
Yes.
father happens to be on the board. But
Were they heading for ice cream? Were they trying to butter you up a little bit?
I think they were trying to make me feel good, exactly. But it really means a great deal when somebody recognizes
Yes.
that, and students and starting careers. My God, it's just quite an amazing sense of security, and I don't know. We're just
We're very fortunate. Most communities don't have a resource like this, and I think if you don't live in Larchmont, Mamaroneck, you would never even think about having an asset like LMC-TV because they just don't exist anymore. We've seen, obviously the local newspapers have suffered a pretty precipitous decline over the last 20 years.
Gosh,
Same thing with a lot of local journalism. So most communities do not have an asset like this. We're incredibly fortunate, and again, one of my goals is to make sure everyone understands how lucky we are and the value that it provides to the community.
Absolutely. I cannot tell you, years ago I would run to the Journal News, and they had a little office here. And I'd say, Ina, so-and-so's going to be on, and she would write exactly what was on LMC. I mean, those are all gone.
They're all gone, unfortunately.
And you're 100% right. That's a great goal to get it out there, who we are, where we are, how welcoming it is. And I just don't know if people understand. You said Larchmont Mamaroneck Community. I brought in my girlfriend Liz Stuntz was on the board of Gilda's Club there in White Plains.
Okay.
We took the cameras there, interviewed them. It doesn't have to just be here. It can be Westchester
Yes.
community, and you can be involved, but be a community person and get the word out.
Yes.
And that's quite amazing for any charitable organization. I've done the factory warehouse. I've done, all kinds of different shows. The food kitchen, which is so mind-boggling as you go to get on 95.
Yes.
We've really tried to cover. And so it doesn't just mean, as you said, government. It really means
Everyone.
community.
Yes. And in fact, any local business, anyone who lives in the town can use this facility for free.
Oh, right. We forgot to say that.
Very important. The surrounding communities, White Plains and New Rochelle, et cetera, there's a different model for them. But anybody who lives or has a business in this community, this is part of the asset of the community. And they can come and again, learn. They can create content. They can create a show. And that is all gratis.
I just got to say, we only have another minute and a half.
All right, rapid fire.
But I just wanted to make sure we covered everything you wanted to cover. We have everything I think mostly I wanted to cover. But in about 6 months or 9 months, will you come back and sit down with me again?
Of course. Well, I have a question for you. LMC was something that you helped birth into existence many years ago, and you've seen a lot of change over the 41 years now that it has been in existence. Where would you like to see the organization go next as you think about that long history and where it started?
Oh, I think it's exactly with you as the head and your board and the new, young, energetic people who are working in LMC. I just think that's exactly where we should be headed. And it is scary how much tech is important. And those of us who aren't as technically involved, the fact that you can go to our website, lmcmedia.org, or YouTube, it's so major for us.
It's really important to get people where they are, right? There are a number of people in the community who still watch traditional broadcast cable, And LMC
Right.
is there for those
We
people.
are there.
And then there are those who want to consume it on Roku or on YouTube or on a streaming platform, and we're there as well. And I think that's really important.
Terrific. Oh, Chris, thank you for sitting down and talking to me. Thank you guys for watching.
Thank you for having me.
Oh, good, good, good. I now know my neighbor. And I'll see you next time on Know Your Neighbor. Bye.